My ex abandoned our kids. Now she wants to come back with someone else's baby. Let me give you some backstory first. My ex-wife, Angela, she was 36 last I checked, and I'm 37 now. We met when we were both in our mid-20s, working for the same company. I was about 24 back then. We hit it off pretty quick, and after dating for a couple years, we tied the knot. Within the first 3 years of marriage, we had 2 beautiful girls. They're 9 now. Our second daughter wasn't exactly planned, and Angela didn't take the news well. She was pretty upset about the pregnancy, but in the end, she chose to go through with it. I told her I wouldn't pressure her either way. I didn't want her doing something she'd regret. When our first daughter came along, things were still good between us. We were in love, enjoying being parents. But everything started to change after Angela got pregnant again. That second pregnancy flipped a switch in her. She became short-tempered, moody, always snapping at me or our oldest daughter for no real reason. I figured maybe it was hormones or stress, so I tried to be patient. I kept telling myself things would settle down, but they just kept getting worse. After a while, both my daughter and I felt like we had to tiptoe around her all the time. I ended up handling just about everything. Angela had quit her job after our first daughter was born, by choice, and was supposed to be staying home, taking care of the house and kids. But when she got pregnant again, she said she was too exhausted to do both. So we hired a housekeeper, even though it put a dent in our budget. I didn't want to upset her, especially during pregnancy, so I went along with it. I thought things would change after the baby came. I figured she'd bounce back, take care of the house and kids during the day, and I'd continue doing my part after work. And let me make one thing clear, I wasn't one of those guys who just sits on the couch after work. I came home and helped out however I could, even though I was running on fumes most days. But Angela didn't bounce back. Months passed, and she stayed the same, moody, irritable, and totally checked out. She stopped doing any chores and spent her whole day glued to the television. She didn't play with the girls, didn't take them out, nothing. Sometimes she even paid our neighbor to take them to the park. Now, I don't want to sound bitter, but I was frustrated. I was working full-time, paying for a housekeeper to do everything, and Angela wasn't lifting a finger. I wanted to save money for the girls' future, but that was becoming impossible. Angela refused to help out in any way. About 6 months after our youngest daughter was born, I decided we couldn't keep going like this. I needed to talk to Angela, really talk. So I asked my parents to watch the girls for the day, and they said yes. That day, I sat down with Angela and told her straight. I understood she had been through a lot, but I needed her to meet me halfway. I explained how the cost of a housekeeper was wearing us thin and asked if she could start doing some of the housework again, just so we could cut back a little. That way, we could save something for our kids down the line. She shut the whole idea down right away, said she was too busy taking care of the girls, which wasn't even true, and told me I should just make more money instead of whining to her. I tried to tell her I was already doing the best I could, but she needed to pull her weight too, or we weren't going to last. I also brought up the fact that, from what I could tell, she wasn't really taking care of the kids, just letting them sit in front of the TV while she binge-watched trashy reality shows. The housekeeper had even mentioned it once, offhand. That was a mistake. The second I said it, she exploded. Accused me of spying on her, said I was turning the housekeeper against her. Then she went off, yelling about how she was tired of being manipulated, how I did nothing all day except sit at a desk while she did everything, which couldn't be further from the truth. She blamed me for not being able to afford a housekeeper and said I was pathetic for asking her to help. I could tell she was just grabbing at anything to make herself feel right, even though none of it made any sense. I was the bad guy now, just because I expected her to contribute a little at home. Things got heated. I called her a lazy cow and said she was failing as a mother. Our oldest was afraid of her, and now she was failing as a wife, too. That pushed her over the edge. She shoved me hard, and I fell back onto the coffee table, smashed the glass, and hurt my back. I had to go to the hospital. She cried and apologized the whole time, saying she didn't mean to hurt me. I was lucky it wasn't worse, just some cuts and a bruised back, but the whole thing shook me to my core. I told her I couldn't trust her anymore, not even around the girls. Who knew when she might snap again? She begged me to let her stay, but by the end of the week, we agreed she would move back in with her parents and start therapy. I told her that until a doctor said she was stable, she couldn't come back. Something was clearly off. Happy people do not act like that. Still, she was willing to get help, and I wanted to give her that chance. I did not want my daughters growing up without a mother. So I decided not to file for divorce right away. We started couples therapy, even while living apart. At first, it looked like it might help. She was seeing a therapist, and I even talked to them a few times. They told me she had postpartum depression, and that one of her symptoms was uncontrollable anger. The night she pushed me was a wake-up call for both of us. Over the course of almost a year, she started to change. Around the 6th month, I even let her visit the girls, but only while I was there. She was starting to seem like her old self again. I felt hopeful. But then, out of nowhere, she stopped going to therapy, quit showing up to sessions, and stopped answering my calls. I kept trying to reach her, but all she said was that she needed space. Meanwhile, her therapist was still giving me updates, saying she was improving, so I could not understand what was going on. After 3 months of this, I decided to go to her parents' house. I had avoided it before because Angela had asked me not to come by, said it would cause more problems with her parents, who already blamed me for how she was acting. But I needed answers. When I got there, she was not home. I asked her parents where she was, and they told me they were not allowed to say anything, then slammed the door on me. That was a red flag. I could feel something was not right. So I waited outside and called her, but she did not pick up. I started to panic. I decided to check around the back, figured the kitchen door might be open. But I did not even make it that far. Angela was sitting on the swing in the backyard. But she was not alone. She was kissing some guy I had never seen before. That image is still burned into my brain. The man pulled back when he saw me, and Angela turned around in shock. I was already walking away. She ran after me, tried to stop me, but I could not hear a word she was saying. I was too stunned. She tried to grab my arm, and I pushed her hand away. I told her not to touch me, got in my car, and drove home. When I got there, I blocked her on everything. I wanted no more contact. I told my parents what had happened and asked them to help me find a lawyer. I did not hear from Angela again until we met with the court-appointed mediator for the divorce. By then, I felt nothing. I had turned into someone just going through the motions for my girls. Angela gave up her parental rights, said she did not want to be part of our lives anymore. She wanted to be with that guy again, the one I saw her kissing. Turns out they had known each other since they were kids. Lost touch after high school, reconnected when she moved back in with her folks. And just like that, she fell in love with him. Her parents backed her all the way. They had always wanted her to end up with Yen. Said they were glad she was finally choosing herself. The divorce dragged on because Angela, despite cheating on me, still wanted spousal support. But my lawyer and I fought hard and made sure she walked away with nothing. I had paid for everything during our marriage, while she sat home watching television all day. It has been 5 years since the divorce was finalized. We won. She left with nothing. Those months during the divorce were some of the darkest times of my life. But I could not give up. My daughters needed me. I was all they had left. It's been 5 years since Angela left. Looking back, that divorce felt like the end of the world. But now, I see it was the best thing that could have happened to me. Life's been good since. My parents really stepped up when I needed them. They helped me juggle work and raising my girls, and I'll never be able to thank them enough for that. Things slowly started falling into place. I moved into a bigger house, started earning more, and for the first time in a while, it felt like I could breathe. I wasn't spending money on anyone but me and my daughters, and my parents lived nearby, still helping when they could. I had friends who cared about me, and my girls were smiling more than ever. It felt like peace. Like real peace. Then Angela showed up. It was just a few days ago. The girls were at school, and I was getting ready to leave for work. I opened the front door, and there she was. Angela. Standing there with a little boy who couldn't be more than 3 or 4. Had to be her kid. I froze. My brain couldn't even process what I was looking at when she burst into tears and started saying she was sorry. Said she wanted to fix things, that she was finally ready to be a family again and give our marriage another shot. I couldn't believe it. After all these years, she was acting like it was her decision to make, like she could just walk back into our lives because it suited her. So I told her, plain and simple, this wasn't her family anymore. She stopped being my wife the moment she cheated on me with Yen. The divorce was just paperwork. She gave up custody of her daughters. Nobody forced her to do that. So no, she didn't get to call us her family now. Then I shut the door in her face and told her to leave. I didn't yell. I didn't curse, even though I was boiling inside. I didn't want to say anything in front of that little boy that he'd remember. But I could hear her crying on the other side of the door for a couple minutes before she finally left. When I got home that evening, my phone rang. It was my parents, and they were furious. They said Angela had come to them after I shut her out, sobbing and heartbroken. And then they dropped a bombshell. They were the ones who gave her my new address. Apparently, they'd been talking to her for over a month, planning this whole thing. They told me she was divorcing Yen, trying to get her life back on track, and that she wanted to reconnect. My parents said it was time to think about the girls. They needed their mother. So, in their minds, giving Angela another chance was the right thing to do. I was stunned. I told them it wasn't their decision to make. They didn't even ask how I felt about it. If the girls had been home, things could have gone very differently. I reminded them that Angela gave up her rights. This wasn't some misunderstanding. But they stood firm. They said that because they helped during the divorce and still watched the girls sometimes, they had just as much right to decide what was best. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I told them, yes, I'm grateful for everything they've done, but these are my daughters, not theirs. Letting Angela come back into our lives behind my back was a betrayal I couldn't just brush off. We argued, and they accused me of being selfish. Said I was arrogant for refusing to forgive Angela. Claimed she had changed and that the girls needed a mother, no matter what. Even when I reminded them she abandoned them once already, they said I was being unfair. It's been a few days since then, and I've had time to sit with everything. And no, I don't regret what I did. I won't give Angela another chance. She made her choice a long time ago, and I made mine. Update 1. It's been about a week since Angela showed up, and I've learned some stuff I honestly wish I hadn't. Turns out, the betrayal ran deeper than I thought. My parents weren't just the ones who gave her my address. They'd been in contact with her for years. While I cut her out after the divorce, they kept the line open. Said they always thought she'd come back one day. They told me Angela called them right after I filed for divorce. She said she didn't want to disappear from the girls' lives completely, but she couldn't fight for custody either. Yin had given her an ultimatum: stay with him and leave her old life behind, or go back and lose him. Apparently, she chose him. Said it was the hardest choice of her life. So, since she gave up her rights, the only way to stay in touch was through my parents. And they agreed. Behind my back, they started letting Angela see the girls during their visits. Every time I dropped them off, they'd invite her over. They even coached the girls to call her a friend, in case I asked. Bribed them with toys and treats to keep quiet. I asked my daughters about it after finding out, and they broke down crying. Told me they couldn't say anything because they'd be punished by God if they did. Angela and my parents had scared them into silence. That crushed me. I felt like a failure of a father for never digging deeper, never asking which friend they were talking about. It could have been anyone, someone dangerous, and I wouldn't have known. But I'm putting an end to it now. I've already filed for restraining orders against Angela and my parents. I've got written proof too. They sent an email explaining everything, thinking it would make me forgive them. But all it did was show me how little they respected me. Angela gave up her family for a man who walked out on her anyway. Now she's stuck raising a child alone and wants a second chance. Well, I'm sorry, but that chance is gone. I sat my daughters down and told them the truth. Told them they won't be seeing their grandparents or their mother anymore. They were okay with it, for now, but we're starting therapy to help them process everything. It's been hard on them, and I know it'll take time to heal. But this ends now. Update 2. Hey everyone. Just wanted to say thank you. All the kind words, the support, the prayers, it means more than you know. The restraining orders were served. My parents and Angela have court dates coming up, but I've blocked them everywhere. Told my friends not to talk to them either. I also beefed up security around the house and have been working from home. I let the girls' school know what's going on, and their teachers are keeping an eye out when I come to pick them up. At first, I thought about keeping them home for a few days, but I didn't want them to fall behind because of all this. So I'm doing everything I can to keep us safe. So far, things have been quiet. Update 3. Good news, restraining orders been granted. For the next 5 years, those 3 have to stay away from me and my daughters, or they'll face the consequences. I'm still keeping all the security measures in place for now. Last time I saw them, they looked angry, especially my mom and Angela. I'm not taking any chances. The girls and I are going to counseling regularly. We've already made a lot of progress, and I truly believe things are going to get better from here. All I care about now is making sure my daughters are happy. That's it. So if you're reading this, please keep sending your love and best wishes. We still need it.